Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Nerdgasm. I am your host, Caleb Coho, here for another awesome debate. We have another awesome set of players to debut here in our Nerdgasm division. But I'm not here alone. I have two judges joining me tonight. One of them, well, both of them have not yet appeared on the show, so it's not like a rotating panel that we've had in the last few weeks. Today with me I have Hunter Chambliss and Tim Smith. How you doing, guys?
Go ahead first, Tim.
Oh, thank you. At least you're a lot nicer than some of these other admins in here that are playing, like one of them that are playing tonight. Yeah, it's good to be here, Caleb. It's good to see the show pick up and get started. It's good to see, and I can't wait to see what both of these competitors are going to offer tonight. I am contractually obligated to agree with Cain McMillan, but we'll see how it goes.
I mean, that wasn't a contract; that was just a bet. I mean, not a bet, a bribe. Yeah.
and Hunter, the Hitman Chambliss. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me on tonight. Yeah, I watched last episode, loved it. So let's get to it. Let's do some fights.
Playing here tonight are two of our favorites from around the league. You know them, you love them. Maybe you hate them because storyline says so. But our first opponent tonight is Ryan the Hunter Permison. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Caleb, thanks for having me. I've never done anything like this before, so this should be really interesting to see how this goes down. But you know what? I got my talking points. I got my research. I got my papers. I'm ready to put my best foot forward and hopefully get a victory tonight. So we'll see how it goes. It's unfortunate I have to play my partner, though. I think this is unfair. I think this is a conspiracy, but we'll get to that later.
And as Ryan teased, his partner, Cain McMillan, is playing tonight. How you doing, Cain?
Unlike Ryan, I am using all my information right here on my computer in a separate Word document. I don't destroy trees like him. I just want to let you guys know, do not vote for a guy who destroys trees and ruins this planet. I'm done.
All right. Well, this is not a political debate. This is a movie debate, so it's a lot more fun and fancy free. Speaking of fandom movies, let's get right into the debates with your first question. And I'm actually going to edit real quick because I forgot to explain this.
Son of a bitch.
I know.
There is so much edit.
The rules are going to work like this. There's going to be 3 rounds of prepped debate that the opponents have picked their answers and have prepped to debate against their opponent tonight. Each round, they can get a point. It's the first person to 5 points wins. But you're thinking, wow, you only have 3 rounds. How do you get 5 points? Well, that's where the speed round comes in. The speed round works like this. They're going to get to pick their, throw out a topic. They get to take a pick. They get to take a pick. They debate it in super quick format. It's pretty basic debating stuff, and you've probably seen it twice already. So at this point, it's not much of anything else but obligation to explain the rules. So we'll jump right into round number 1, which works like this, gentlemen. That's fandom. What am I doing? God! We'll jump right into round 1 with your first question, which is, what pre-2018 superhero movie most deserved the popular film Oscar?
Ooh.
And we will start with Cain. You have a minute to give us your answer when you start talking.
All right, so to define the popular film award is a film that is generally watched among the public or has at least should change cinema, I think, for futures to come. And that's why I'm going with 2012's Marvel The Avengers. There has not been a film since The Avengers that has been as impactful as to modern day cinema as The Avengers has itself. It is not only one of the biggest films in 2012, it's one of the biggest films in worldwide. In the box office, it came in at current day number 6 worldwide all-time box office with $1.5 billion. The other 2012 blockbusters it was competing against, what? Amazing Spider-Man, Dark Knight Rises, Prometheus, Men in Black 3, The Hunger Games. What film out of that category deserved the popular film award more than The Avengers?
All right. Cain debating the Avengers, and Ryan, you're going to get a minute to tell us what your pick is and explain why you chose it right now when you start talking.
So for this popular film category, I had to go back a ways and went all the way back to the year 2005. There were 6 comic book movies released during the course of that year, but the one that stood out amongst all of them was clearly the masterpiece of a film directed by Christopher Nolan. It is Batman Begins. It is the first installment of Chris Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. You had an excellent cast led by Christian Bale, a great director with Chris Nolan, who had Following, Memento, and Insomnia prior to this, jumping into the comic book movie genre with Batman Begins. It was one of the highest grossing films of that year. It is one of the best comic book films ever made. It is one of the best superhero film origin stories that we've ever seen on screen to date, even though we've seen previous iterations of Batman in other movies. But with Batman Begins, it was the superior version of the origin story for that legendary character. Plus, we saw villains in a Batman film we had never seen before, such as Ra's al Ghul, the Scarecrow, and the League of Shadows. So with that is why I would say for this case that Batman Begins should win the popular film Oscar pre-2018.
Boom. Just to let you know, that actually landed exactly on a minute, like 1:00:00. So good job. All right.
Practicing.
So the Avengers versus Batman Begins. This is going to be a good one. Fight it out, gents.
All right, so you said that in Batman Begins we get to see characters that we've never seen before. In the Avengers, we got to see things that we've never seen before. We never got to see this accumulation of characters built up through 5-6 films into one film to fight a greater cause with the Avengers. You said it was also the best, very well grossing comic book movie. It only made $374 million. It is the number 300th worldwide all-time movie box office wise, and it's the only Nolan trilogy Batman film to not get over $1 billion. So why didn't you pick The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises? That doesn't make any sense. And when we're talking about 2005 blockbusters,
but without Batman Begins, we would not have gotten the Dark Knight. So you got to take that into account. Okay. Without Batman Begins, we would not have gotten The Dark Knight. Which, granted, that film may be talked about a little bit more amongst audiences and moviegoers and critics alike, but still. Batman Begins.
So your statement is just because
it is one of the best starts of any trilogy ever.
Okay, but we're talking about in 2005. 2005, there is no Dark Knight. There is no Dark Knight Rises at this point. There's no MCU. There's no DCEU. This movie is just a singular movie. So you cannot be like, oh, well, because of this movie, you don't get the Dark Knight. Because the Dark Knight doesn't exist in 2005. While in 2005, the movies that do exist is King Kong, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Goblet of Fire, War of the Worlds.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith was memorable.
All 4 of those movies are probably more deserving to win it than Batman Begins because they've made a bigger impact than Batman Begins has in that year.
Whatever. I mean, when it comes to origin stories, what are some of the movies that people talk about when it comes to good origin stories with comic book characters? Batman Begins. People talk about it all the time.
No, they don't talk about
because they like Chris Nolan. There's a ton of Chris Nolan fans out there. Chris Nolan has a huge following. Chris Nolan, not too many people knew who he was until Batman Begins. Batman Begins put Chris Nolan, Christian Bale, and granted a lot of accomplished actors back in the public eye because a lot of people knew who these actors were, but this really took the comic book genre, the comic book movie genre to the stratosphere.
Jon Favreau did the same thing with Iron Man, so why didn't you go Iron Man? I mean, that could have been a pick, but you didn't use it. You haven't said one bad thing of why the Avengers shouldn't have won Popular Film Award in 2012 because there's no reason why it shouldn't have been. That's why my choice is.
Well, how about this? Avengers with the villain. I mean, really, Loki. That's the best.
Oh, Loki, as in one of the top 5 villains in the MCU.
You had Ra's al Ghul. You had the Scarecrow. You had the criminal organizations working in the background within Gotham City. You had plenty of villains in that film, and what did it do? It balanced all the villains out. It gave us a complete arc with all those characters, all those enemies, all those villains, carrying them on to other installments. So, Batman Begins, they had multiple villains, and it balanced them well. Whereas Avengers only had one villain.
Talking about the quality of the film. I'm over here saying popular. Define popularity is something that's seen a lot of people have seen. People saw
Batman.
The Avengers made $1.5 billion. Batman Begins only made $374 million.
First thing that they say is Batman.
Okay, Batman Begins. Put it this way: Avengers made the same amount of money. Batman Begins times 4. So how is that?
It's not always about money. It's not always about money.
But we're talking about popular film.
It is, but Batman Begins still made a good,
Okay,
good
but
chunk of
that's
change,
saying
and it was
that more
critically
people
acclaimed by
have
both
seen the
audiences
Avengers.
and
More people have
critics.
seen it more than once. Batman Begins, they saw it once. Oh, it's another origin story. We've only seen 1,000 of those. We want to go see an origin story.
Batman Begins is more
2002
rewatchable than
Spider-Man. You have like there's no reason I'm seeing why Batman Begins should win over Peter Jackson's King Kong, bringing back a character that we haven't seen in a long time, or maybe the finale of episode 3 of Star
aside from
Wars,
the Avengers
which brings
theme,
the end.
which part of that score was more memorable? That's it.
You want to talk about the score?
Hans Zimmer did the score for Batman Begins, and he
actually
killed it.
Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard did the score, and Alan Silvestri, who did Back to the Future, did the score for the Avengers in one of the more iconic themes. I can't even remember Batman Begins themes, while the Avengers themes I can play on my trumpet right now if you really needed me to, but I'm not going to because
a lot of people talk about the Dark Knight trilogy's theme a lot more so than just the Avengers.
About the Dark Knight's theme. They don't talk about Batman Begins. The Avengers theme is one of the iconic themes from the MCU, which the themes in the MCU very lack. They grabbed the best composer in the MCU with Alan Silvestri.
But at least
for the first Avenger.
But at least Batman Begins and other installments were consistent. They kept the same composer each and every movie.
Okay, but this is also still the best popular film award, not the best comic book composer movie thing. It's not that. It's the popular film award. Tell me why. I won't even talk. Tell me why Batman Begins is more popular than the Avengers.
Because it is a far better 3-act structure origin story than the Avengers was. The Avengers, they just, two heroes got together and then another two get introduced and that's it, and then they become a family at the end of the movie. They have a few disagreements here and there, but then I mean the villain Loki, I mean, come on. The hero is only as good as the villain. So in Batman Begins, you had an excellent balance between the hero and
Batman's
the villain.
origin story again.
Yeah,
do we need to see his origin story again?
Well, it's from a different, this is a different.
How many times have you seen superheroes get together and fight a singular cause from 5-6 different movies that have happened predetermined to that movie? How many times has that happened? How many times has that happened in any genre? It doesn't even have to be superheroes. He's speechless, guys. I think I rest my case.
All right.
You're killing me, Smalls.
I'll stop you guys there, and we'll get into closing arguments, and we'll start with Cain. What are your closing thoughts on this argument?
All right, so The Avengers have not only is one of the biggest movies in history. It's also a movie that has gone on to become, still in 2018, as one of people's favorite comic book movies in general. No one talks about how Batman Begins is their favorite comic book movie. And in 2012, like I said, Amazing Spider-Man, Dark Knight Rises, Prometheus, Men in Black 3, Hunger Games, those were the other blockbuster movies. So tell me, which blockbuster movie there can be more popular than Marvel's The Avengers?
All right. And Ryan, you're going to get a minute for your closing thoughts when you're ready.
All right. So Batman Begins should win this award, because if it weren't for Batman Begins, the comic book movie genre would not, in a way, it would not be what it is today. Because this film, the Batman Begins atmosphere of this film is set in the real world. We see what it would be like if someone who had all that money, all that wealth, all those resources, what would it be like if he became a hero in a city and tried his best to prevent it from being corrupt by the criminals and politicians or what have you. It's because Batman Begins that superhero films can go in these different and darker directions, with their tones and their ways of storytelling and going deeper and darker with the characters and the stories that they're trying to tell. Yes, there were some good comic book movies before Batman Begins in 2005, but it is because of Batman Begins that it took the comic book movie genre to a whole other level because of the direction of Chris Nolan, Christian Bale, Hans Zimmer composing the score, and everything else that went into that film.
All right. That was a really, really strong argument and a good fight. I think I'll go first on this one and let my co-hosts and judges gather their thoughts a little bit. I heard a lot of good points from both of you. Cain came out swinging, bringing up box office and defining what he thinks the popular film Oscar is. Also, I think Cain's point about how looking at what came out in both years and what should have won in both years was really good, and it swayed his argument a little bit. I do think Ryan brought some really solid arguments in terms of giving me more about the characters and the score and the performances and about the impact of this film while Kane gave me a lot about the impact of the Avengers as well. The score debate was also pretty one-sided in Kane's favor a little bit. I think Kane gave me a little bit more on that. Going point for point, I think the argument that really hit was when Kane said, how many origins have we seen and how many times have we seen heroes come together like we have in the Avengers? Which since the Avengers, we've seen it twice, maybe three. Three now, four. But Batman Begins was the fifth or sixth time we've seen an origin story done for a superhero. Well, Ryan did bring up that it was a very different take on an origin story and a different perspective of Batman's. I don't think that was enough oomph to hit back on that blow from Kane. So my point is going to go to Kane. We'll go over to Tim.
Yeah, it was a good argument back and forth. Kane definitely came out swinging. And to really just go with a popular award, which Kane brought up like right in the instant of the money value, because for popular films, you as a consumer are going to pay with your wallet. And Avengers did make 4 to almost 5 times as much as Dark Knight did, with also bringing something new of a universe. The first time you saw it of a universe coming together, especially in a comic book world. And Batman Begins is just another origin story. Granted, very interesting with a lot of the villains, like with Ra's al Ghul, with the League of Assassins, but still just another origin story. But I do like Ryan's point of without that one, you don't get a lot of the good stuff later on. But also with the Avengers, you see all the work that's built up from all of these different characters to bring a team like this with not only just the icons of Iron Man, Captain America, the Incredible Hulk, stuff like this, but also seeing these caliber actors, which has done a lot before them to really not only get themselves back in the spotlight, but also put their name on it like, hey, we are this. So I think with that argument, yeah, I would have to go with Kane more over with the Avengers argument over Batman Begins.
All right, with that, Kane gets the first point here in this match. Hunter, what would you have said?
I would agree with you guys. I think Kane really came off the bat in his first opening really strong, talking about box office, what popular films really mean for that award. And then going into the scores, I think Kane really outmatched him a little bit, talking about the different parts of scores, most memorable Avengers score, because that is a very listenable score and something that you remember from that movie. So I would have given it to Kane also.
All right. With that, let's get into our second round, which your second question is a topic we've heard come out of the Alpha Alliance chat pretty consistently, pretty frequently. And that is, what is the best Shrek movie? Which I know one of you has a very strong opinion and the other one is ready and raring to go. So I'm going to start.
I love that this is the question.
All right. So we're going to start with...
It shouldn't even be a question.
Yeah, it's DreamWorks. DreamWorks isn't fandom. Jeez. And Jim is not here to properly debate this.
All right. Well, little did you know, Jim has actually been coaching Ryan on this topic to get his points in here. So with that, Ryan, Jim's pupil, we're going to give you the floor first for your first minute of this one.
All right. Shrek. The one that started it all. The original Shrek clearly is the best of this franchise. It's based on the 1990 children's book written by Andrew Steig, co-directed by Andrew Adamson, who later went on to direct the 2 best installments of the Chronicles of Narnia franchise from Disney. And also, it's an awesome parody of fairy tale stories that we've really never seen quite so before like this in an animated film, let alone a live-action film. And you have an all-star cast of Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, John Lithgow, among many others. The cast really bring this film home. It is truly one of the best animated films ever made, and clearly the first Shrek installment is the best of this particular franchise.
All right. Kane, your pick when you are ready to go.
All right, so we already know Shrek 2 is the best Shrek movie because it takes everything the first one did and did it better. Because in Shrek 2, it goes on the whole story of essentially like Shrek wants to become human and be like this, essentially be human for Fiona. But at the end of it, he learns that the best part of Shrek was his original self. And that is a very deep meaning and a very kids motivated movie, while the first one, I don't even know, like, were they even taking that movie seriously? It was a spoof on Disney princess kind of movies, and they just kind of just got lucky with it. And then the second one, like, oh, we have something here that can be good, and we're going to actually make it good and take it serious. Plus, we get the introduction to Puss in Boots, who is the only Shrek character to get a spin-off movie. What, did you get any of that in Shrek? No.
All right. Puss in Boots. Awesome stuff. All right. Let's fight it out, gentlemen.
All right. So you wanted to bring up your cast of Shrek. Like, we got the exact same cast, but we also get Julie Andrews, Antonio Banderas, John Cleese, all coming in to this franchise because the first one, yes, it was good, but we're like, hey, we're going to come into the second one and make it better. The cast is better than the first one because we got all these fun additions. The movie's a lot more fun. They have a very deep story, and the first one is essentially Ogre tries to save Princess. Princess finds out she's Ogre, but hey,
yeah, but how many times have we seen that story? We've seen that story in billions of movies.
Yes, we have seen that story billions of times in movies. It was a spoof. That's why in Shrek it doesn't work. You're literally saying, how many times have we seen the Shrek plot in other stories? You're helping my argument right now. Like, you're not helping yourself.
Yeah, but we've never seen a parody version of fairy tales quite like this. This has never been done before. That's why
I'm pretty sure we have. It's called like Enchanted.
Oh please,
Ella
Enchanted's garbage. Ella was. I mean, come on.
But I'm just bringing up other movies that have done this plot.
Sure, they've attempted to do it, but it didn't really work. The Shrek film made it work.
2 has a giant gingerbread man. Do you have a giant gingerbread man?
Yeah,
no,
but
you have a guy who's overcompensating for something because he has a giant castle.
No one would care about that silly little gingerbread man without the first one. And by the way, who's quoting in today's audiences? Who quotes lines from Shrek 2? Nobody quotes Shrek 2. They all quote Shrek 1 because people say, "Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man? Yes, the one who lives on Drury Lane." Well,
okay, you're the only person who quotes that because no one talks about the Muffin Man.
Other people do that in their everyday lives because Shrek 1 is a superior film. Oh, I was not 3 when I saw that film, young man.
I'm talking about the nursery rhyme that's been around for a long.
Give me a break. Let me ask you this.
Long time ago.
Let me ask you this. Did Shrek 2 win anything? Did it win any awards at the Oscars that year? No. It won 0. Zilch. Nada. The first one, it did. Your film won nothing. It won nothing.
It was nominated for 2 Oscars, and it only lost to The Incredibles, which is arguably one of the best animated movies.
Yeah, but we're not talking about Incredibles. Incredibles doesn't exist. We're talking about Shrek 1 versus Shrek 2.
I'm giving you the reason why Shrek 2 didn't win. If we were arguing what is better, Shrek or The Incredibles, it's The Incredibles hands down.
That's fine, but it didn't win any Oscars. So clearly,
it was nominated for 2. How many Oscars was Shrek nominated for?
It was nominated for 2. It was nominated
for 1.
It was nominated for 2. No, I did my research.
Can we get a fact check on that, guys?
Oh, I already did it.
I only nominated on 1.
I will fact check.
It won in the Oscar for Best Animated Feature, and then it got nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. Shrek 1, that's what happened.
Did it?
Yes, it did. That's why it's the superior film. That's one of the many reasons why it's a superior film.
But let's go back to the argument. Let's go back to the argument.
Shrek put DreamWorks on the map. No one knew who DreamWorks Animation was until Shrek came along. No one knew.
DreamWorks kind of has a big name behind it with Steven Spielberg.
DreamWorks became a formidable foe to go up against Pixar and compete against their movies.
Okay, but you said like no one heard of DreamWorks. DreamWorks is fucking Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, but
everyone's heard of DreamWorks.
Yeah, but no one really took DreamWorks animation department seriously until Shrek came out.
Well, that's not our fault. It's because,
I don't care. I'll bring it up. It's a point, son.
Actually, other movies you can talk about is The Prince of Egypt and all that other stuff. But guess what?
Okay, that was a good film. But Shrek.
It was a good film, and it was before Shrek.
DreamWorks on the map.
Okay, so just because it's on the map don't mean it's good. And I'm not saying your movie is bad. I'm just saying mine is better.
Like
it took everything the first one did and made it better. Okay?
Yeah, but the first one is so great on its own as a standalone.
You have not knocked Shrek 2 at all. So that's because you have nothing to knock it about.
Well, Shrek 2 was more of a Puss in Boots movie. How about that? It wasn't even a Shrek movie.
Introduced as Puss in Boots, and it's not a Puss in Boots movie because it's a whole thing about Shrek wanting to become human to be with Fiona because that's his true love. And he can't be with Fiona because he's an ogre.
Yeah, but Puss in Boots got more screen time.
Then he realizes that he
Shrek
can be with Fiona as himself because that is the moral of the story. That your better self is the self you truly are.
Yeah, but other films have shown that display better than Shrek 2.
Until the very end of the movie. The best parts about Shrek is Donkey.
The best parts about Shrek is everything. All the characters, all the music, the direction by Andrew Adamson, Vicky Jensen. They did an incredible job with the first installment. They really did.
The music. You mean All-Star, the movie? I mean, the song is made fun of
Mouth, and
all the time now?
I'm a believer. Come on. That's a killer song.
Okay, but I'm telling you, like, All-Star gets made fun of nowadays. Like, how is that saying? It's a song that gets made fun of. But yay, hey guys, our music in this movie is fantastic.
All right. I'm going to stop us here. And I want to get closing arguments. And I'm going to have Ryan start on closing arguments this time.
All right. The reason why Shrek, the first one, is the best is because it was nominated and won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature Film. When that category was first introduced into the Oscars, it was also nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. Without the first installment of Shrek, DreamWorks Animation would not be what it was, and it wouldn't have been able to compete with Pixar as far as animated movies are concerned. Shrek 2, it may have been nominated for Best Animated Film and Best Original Song, but it did not win. It didn't win any Oscars. The first film did and made a statement. Take that to the bank.
All right. And Cain, what is your closing argument?
All right. So Shrek 2 takes everything Shrek did, made it better. It has a very deep story. And we want to talk about iconic songs as well, as he was bringing up. We have Holding Out for a Hero, which is a very iconic scene. Like, I can still remember that scene. And then you have Viva La Vida Loca. I mean, can you just not... When you think of that song, you think of the giant gingerbread man who dies. It's a very sad moment just singing that song in, like, the little river thingy. Like, that's a very emotional thing. This Shrek 2 has so many more emotional beats than Shrek 1. Shrek 1 is essentially just a spoof of Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy wanting to getting together, just having a fun time making a little animated movie, just doing some voice acting. Shrek 2 is where, like, oh shit, we have something good here. Let's go off and actually make this movie serious and have a fun time doing it. All
right. That is time, and those are the arguments presented. This time I'm going to go to Hunter since he didn't get to talk last time. He's going to talk first this time.
Wow. Can we go over to Tim first so I can still gather my thoughts?
Sure. Tim, you want to go first?
It was this close.
Okay. First, I do want to say this to Cain McMillan, maybe because I'm older. I do remember Living La Vida Loca, and more because of the failed experiment in pop culture at the time of Ricky Martin more than anything else. But let's break it down to the argument. Again, I think we see Cain coming out and really hitting home a lot of points going against to raise up Shrek 2 over Shrek. Ryan did bring up some really interesting points. It's just a regular moviegoer. DreamWorks Animation really getting on the map because of Shrek. The Academy Award win, which Shrek 2 didn't have. And Shrek has that more iconic feel to it. It does have the repeated story we've seen in fairy tales altogether, even though it was a spoof on fairy tale princesses and fairy tales altogether. Shrek 2 did bring a lot of new stuff like Puss in Boots, a lot of different music feels for it. The whole going away of the regular storyline into its own new thing. I don't think you get that without the original Shrek, but there wasn't that much of an argument. Ryan really trying to hammer into Shrek 2, which I think Cain pounced on that with hammering into Shrek 2 being better than Shrek 1, if there's more of a cohesive argument with Ryan to really hammer in more points in the beginning and not trying to get those points out to the end, I think he would overall get the point. But just for the argument base, Cain really did come out from the starting gate, just like he did with the first one, to really hammer out that point. And Ryan, it took a while for him to get some steam to hammer it out. So I would have to go just for the argument's sake of Cain winning this one because of just the argument's sake.
All right, cool. I'll send those $5 in the mail.
I'm actually gonna jump in because I'm gonna let Hunter have just a few more seconds to think.
Well, I have
unless you want to go.
Yeah, I can go right now.
All right, you go ahead.
So in this argument, Cain again started out coming swinging, starting real strong. All the points that he had were. The thing that swung me more was the fact when Cain said that Ryan did not tear down Shrek 2. He didn't have enough arguments to shoot down and come against Shrek 2. So I'm giving my point to Cain just because Ryan didn't really have arguments to back up and really take down Shrek 2.
Okay, well, with that, Cain gets the point, so it doesn't really matter what I think. But
I want to know what you think.
I would have given the point to Ryan because I think Ryan, though he didn't attack Shrek 2 as hard as maybe he could have, I think Ryan's argument was actually really airtight, bringing up the Oscar win, that it was the first animated feature to win the animated feature Oscar, that it had never been done before. When Cain was bringing up those movies, they came after Shrek, which I think Ryan said in passing. I think it got covered up. And then that it really did put DreamWorks on the map. My favorite thing that Ryan said was that everyone quote Shrek and that Shrek 2 is not a Shrek movie. Puss in Boots gets more screen time and that Shrek 2's plot is done better in other films. While Cain made the same argument, it didn't quite land as well as Ryan's turnaround on it. So I think I would have given it the slight edge to Ryan on that one. But Cain does have my favorite soundbite of all time, which is it has a giant gingerbread man. Which will now be the intro to Fandom Fights forever. But with that, Cain is up 2-0 going into our third and final prepped round, which is Pitch Man of Steel 2. All right, with this one, we're going to start with Cain.
Can you repeat that real quick?
Oh, okay. Our third argument is Pitch Man of Steel 2, which is one that's near and dear to both of these people who are on the Knights of Steel team in trivia. So I'm excited to see what each of them say. I'm going to give you guys each a minute 30 for your opening this time as you are pitching. And Cain, we are going to have you start this time.
All right. Everyone here, I want you guys to close your eyes and just think. Man of Steel starts off with Superman and Batman in the Batcave, just making jokes with each other because they've been teammates for a few years now, and they've actually become friends over time to form this friendship that we've all known and loved that we have not yet seen on screen before. And then next thing you know, on little Batman's little screen, something comes into the orbit and Superman just takes off. Batman turns around and Superman's already gone because Superman is really fast, and it's a little humor there because humor. Pretty much Superman gets to where this pod comes in from the orbit and comes to find out it is Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl. Pretty much, and then the whole act one is pretty much Clark and Kara training, mentoring, bonding, because Clark has been through some shit in the DCEU, aka Worlds of DC. He's died, he's destroyed Metropolis, he's done all this shit, and he can tell Kara, this is what you could do. Be the person I wasn't when I started, and it only took me so long to get to this point. Kara could then go on to become something very good and very powerful, and that is just Act 1. Kara ends up telling Clark that she was trapped in the Phantom Zone for so long, but just wait, something else left the Phantom Zone, and Act 2 and 3 is Kara Zor-El and Clark Kent taking on Brainiac.
All right. Supergirl and Superman taking on Brainiac. All right. That's a solid opening pitch. And now we go over to Ryan to give us his opening pitch.
All right. For Man of Steel 2, this would take place after the events of Justice League. Clark's back in Metropolis. He's living with Lois Lane. They're happy together. They're having a good life. All of a sudden, Clark hears a ringing in his ear. It's something that only he can hear, and it's coming from his ship. So he goes to the ship to find out what the signal is, and it's a signal that's coming from the planet of Apocalypse, and it's saying that Apocalypse, Darkseid is on his way. He's about to come to invade the Earth, destroy it, eliminate all free will, because his mission is to conquer the universe and eliminate all free will. So knowing this, Clark, or in this case Superman, to avoid panic, he flies off to Darkseid's ship, and he says, I don't want you anywhere near Earth. You are not allowed to do it. I am a protector of Earth. You cannot harm anyone. So he is in the fight of his life. He challenges Darkseid to a battle, and in this battle, the loser agrees to never attempt to invade or destroy the planet that they're trying to go against. So in this case, Man of Steel 2 would be Superman battling one of the biggest foes, if not his biggest foe, and that would be Darkseid from the planet of the Apocalypse, and he would be in the battle of his life. There's no Justice League around. It's all him. It's all on Superman to not only save the day, but save the entire planet of Earth. Not just the city of Metropolis, but the entire planet from total destruction from Darkseid, and potentially Darkseid conquering the planet Earth for Man of Steel 2.
All right. Superman versus Darkseid. So those are the pitches. And now, gentlemen, you're about to face each other for your arguments. Let's get it on.
All right.
Okay,
So I just forgot something.
Has her own show, and it's terrible, so I don't think necessarily Supergirl would work cinematically, at least at this point. So it's better to see a bigger battle, have the stakes be raised a little bit more. Let's see how Kal-El does against Darkseid, because, Doomsday and BVS, not the finest hour. But
all right.
with Darkseid,
so I'm going to stop you right there before I lose my train of thought. Supergirl's best episodes are when Superman and Supergirl actually interact, and that's why that combo would work very well in Man of Steel 2. I also forgot to mention who my casting would be, because I actually put in some effort. Haley Lee Richardson would, of course, play Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl. She's famous for Edge of 17. She's a very fantastic actress, and I think she'd be very good at it. Who would play Brainiac, you ask? You would need someone with a very scary voice. He's very scary in Jungle Book when he plays Shere Khan. It's Idris Elba. Who would direct it? Brad Bird, because Brad Bird can do superhero movies, he can do action, and he can do story. There'd be a very coming of age almost feel for Supergirl at Act 1, and essentially Act 2 and 3 is both Kryptonians fighting Brainiac to pretty much defend the Earth. You want to do Darkseid without Justice League. This is essentially Iron Man taking on Thanos. It doesn't work at all.
But it's not impossible. Superman has beaten Darkseid before on his own. If you watch the animated series, he has beaten Darkseid on his own before.
Okay, but you're saying that he's defeated Darkseid. I'm bringing in Brainiac, a character that we haven't really seen before.
Yeah, but we've never seen Darkseid either. We've never seen Darkseid on the big screen.
But why would you use Darkseid so soon? This is your Thanos level character, and you're like, oh, he's going to go into Man of Steel 2. I have at least Batman showing up in a cameo at the beginning. I introduced Supergirl. I introduced Brainiac, a character that we've wanted to see for a very long time. Darkseid, we want to see in Justice League 3.
True, but we need a proper Man of Steel 2. What better way to do that than to raise the stakes higher than they've ever been before and have Superman go up against Darkseid in a knockdown, drag-out fight? Whereas with Superman and Supergirl, we've already seen that done perfectly in the Superman Batman. I think it was either Public Enemies or Superman Batman Apocalypse. That it was done very well in that.
Okay, but then you also
know what they're doing animated wise with Supergirl, but I don't feel Supergirl is ready to have her come back cinematically because her 1984 film
she's already having
terrible.
one. I'm setting up the Supergirl movie. Supergirl movie is in worse, and I'm setting it up. I'm sorry I'm not hashtag me too, but guess what? It's happening.
This is not about Supergirl. It's about a proper Man of Steel 2, and the best way to do it is to raise
Civil
the stakes.
War wasn't about Spider-Man.
Go toe-to-toe with one of his biggest foes, if not his biggest foe, and that's Darkseid.
Okay,
I mean,
so
who would pay money?
You want to go from Zod to Steppenwolf to Darkseid. Like that's your arc right there for Superman. Zod, Steppenwolf's Darkseid. You don't want to include Lex Luthor, Brainiac, and
because Lex Luthor was already used, and he was used in BVS, and he was garbage. Where in this case you can start fresh and bring in Darkseid.
Idris Elba to play Brainiac as a very scary villain who in Injustice 2, a video game, was one of the best villains in DC history. You want to bring in Darkseid in a
Yes, because it raises the stakes and it puts butts in the seats. Supergirl and Superman teaming up cinematically, that's not going to put very many butts in the seats.
It will put butts in the seat because what is selling right now in the CEU? It's called diversity. I'm bringing in a female, which guess what? That's going to be diversity. Hey, I got Idris Elba, who's an African-American man playing the villain. Hey, that's diversity. You have Darkseid, a CG character playing against Superman. I'm sorry. If I want to see a CG character play against Superman, I'll watch BVS. Oh wait, that movie was shit.
Well, it's not like it can't be done. I mean, Infinity War did it perfectly with CGI villains, so why can't Darkseid do it? They can do it.
Infinity War is an Avengers movie. I want to see Darkseid take on the Justice League because he's that powerful. I want to see Darkseid smack the Flash.
There are other villains.
Flash is going super speed. I want to see
there are other
Darkseid outsmart Batman. I want to see Darkseid prove that he's more powerful than Superman and Wonder Woman, and that's why they have to all team up together to defeat Darkseid.
But this will be the ultimate test, like facing off Zod. It's a rogue Kryptonian. Okay, we've seen that in Superman 2 with Donner's version. With this, it would be completely different because Darkseid, Apocalypse, cinematically, we've never seen it done. Granted, they teased him on Smallville, but they didn't really use Darkseid.
How many times have we seen Brainiac cinematically? Or Superman and Supergirl team up cinematically? Or how about in the worlds of DC, how many times have we seen a fun Superman who his job is not only to save the Earth, but to inspire hope into people? And that's why he's doing it to Kara. He's trying to tell Kara, be the person I wasn't. Don't follow from my mistakes. Don't be me. Don't destroy National City. Don't go after another Justice League member.
As far as casting
Don't do this. Don't do that. I died. I know what I'm dealing with. Don't be me.
If you want good casting, here's good casting for you. You want someone to play Darkseid or the voiceover of Darkseid. Let's go with Giancarlo Esposito. That guy is Giancarlo Esposito.
Never heard of him.
He was
not going to put butts in seats.
Have you seen the ratings for Breaking Bad?
Have you seen Idris Elba?
Okay, but look at Giancarlo Esposito. That's diversity right there. He's a very talented actor. He's been in several movies that have done well. He is one of the most iconic villains in Breaking Bad's TV history. He's been all over the cinematic layout of genres of film, so he could definitely play a villain like really, really well. If you're a fan of Breaking Bad, if you're a fan of really compelling villains, well, Giancarlo Esposito can definitely do that for you as the voiceover of Darkseid.
Okay, but yeah, so you got the cast of Darkseid.
He can do it all.
But you still haven't given me a reason to believe why Darkseid should be in Man of Steel 2 and not Justice League 3 Part 1.
You want someone to turn this thing around and give Man of Steel the proper sequel he deserves? Okay, here's a director for you. Christopher McQuarrie. He and Henry already worked together.
Because he's in Mission Impossible Fallout. It's just going to be another generic action movie.
No, it's going to be...
I'm sorry, I want Superman to inspire people with hope. Brad Bird does that in almost every film he's ever done. Even Tomorrowland, which is a shit movie, still brought people hope.
Oh, please. Yeah, right. That didn't give anyone hope. It gave people headaches and nightmares. That's how bad that movie was for Brad Bird. But granted, that was
another movie that Christopher McQuarrie did outside of Mission Impossible Fallout. And you're only saying that because Henry Cavill's in it.
Because they have a good working relationship. Henry Cavill and Christopher McQuarrie, I think, would work very well on a Man of Steel.
You're telling me if Brad Bird, the director of Incredibles 1 and 2, Ratatouille, Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol,
yes,
signed on to do Man of Steel 2, you wouldn't be hyped as fuck.
Not as much if I were to hear names like Christopher McQuarrie or even James Mangold. You want to talk about a comic film that's memorable? Look at what James Mangold did with Logan.
Logan is a serious movie about a rated R villain, rated R anti-hero with Wolverine. Superman is someone who's supposed to inspire people, and he's not done that yet.
He's capable of directing a PG-13 Man of Steel movie. James Mangold has worked in the PG-13 realm many, many times before. He can do it.
Like the Wolverine, that shit fest.
Yeah, okay, granted. That one notwithstanding, but have you seen...
Time. All right, we're gonna go time.
We're
gonna go into.
He's a jerk.
We're gonna go into closing arguments. I'm gonna have Cain go first and give us his closing argument.
Okay, so with Man of Steel 2 is essentially a movie that's going to be doing something that the world of DC has yet to done. Superman has not inspired people. They say he inspired people, but he hasn't done that. And we get to see this from a first-person point of view with him trying to inspire Kara Zor-El and essentially being like, yeah, guess what? In Man of Steel, BVS, Justice League, we were not inspiring, and we didn't listen to the rules of doing a Superman movie because Zack Snyder decided I'm not going to do that. So we acknowledge that we fucked up, but we're like, this is the Superman to come, and we're going to make him better. We're going to take on and pretty much be very inspireful, and we're going to bring in a villain who we have yet to see with Brainiac. We saw little glimpses of him in Krypton, but essentially we have not seen him on the big screen. I think Superman and Supergirl taking on Brainiac would be something very good, and it gives a reason to be excited for the Supergirl movie that'd be coming out, whether you like it or not. I'm sorry, I'm not Me Too.
Time. All right, and Ryan, when you start talking.
All right. Man of Steel 2. You know, some people weren't fans of it, others were. You want to start fresh and push it to the next level. Well, if you're going to do it with Man of Steel 2, you do it by having him going up against his biggest foe ever, and that would be Darkseid. The Justice League, yeah, sure, you would probably need a team for it, but in this case, you got to raise the stakes, make it personal, make it one-on-one, make it even, because you need a proper Man of Steel sequel, and the best way to do it is with Superman versus Darkseid in a battle to the battles to the death. Whoever wins, they get to protect their planet and make sure no one else from Apocalypse, let alone Darkseid, invades that planet ever again. We've seen team-ups in the last couple of comic book movies that have come out. We've seen it with Infinity War. We've seen it with BVS. We've seen it in Justice League. We've seen it in other comic book movies. With this, it's strictly about the lead character. In this case, it's Superman. So you need to do it right, and you need to do it well. And the best way to do it is with Superman going up against his biggest foe, and that would be Darkseid. And the film should either be directed by Christopher McQuarrie or someone who gave us one of the most memorable comic book films of all time in Logan with director James Mangold. Those two know how to work within the comic book movie genre. They can deliver a story, whether it's PG-13 rated or if they go real balls to the wall and go crazy and go R-rated, they can do it. I have the utmost faith in those directors, in Henry Cavill and in Darkseid to be the good villain and a really good villain for this movie, and this movie to deliver on all fronts.
Time. Okay. Woo! That was a very, very intense one, actually. There's a lot of shouting. I'm going to go first on this one because I didn't get to go last on the last one. I'm giving my point to Ryan because Ryan tore down Kane's argument pretty well, actually. He didn't come out like Kane does, where he like ripped it down a little bit and kind of was a little more aggressive. I think Ryan made a lot of sensible points of how he said Supergirl won't work cinematically. He pointed out that it sets up an unnecessary spinoff that we don't necessarily need in a Superman movie. He also pointed out that that his movie would be something personal and epic, and that we have seen heroes team up before, but we never really seen the one-on-one epic scale that he was going for. Raising the stakes, he brought a lot of really good points in his pitch. Kane putting Supergirl in the movie already admitted that we've seen it. We've already seen this team up before on TV, and so Ryan, when he made that argument, I think Ryan wins this point for me by bringing a lot of ingenuity to it, and also he tore down the Brad Bird choice with Tomorrowland pretty good. So I'm gonna give this point.
Tomorrowland, but okay.
Yes, no, he turned your argument back on you at Tomorrowland.
I said I didn't want to bring up Tomorrowland, but okay.
Okay, but then by that you just conceded that your director's not a good choice anyway. So no matter what, bringing up Tomorrowland ruined your argument.
No.
Either by Ryan or you, whoever brought it up, ruined the argument.
And he said James Mangold and Wolverine was shit. Okay.
All right, we'll go over to Hunter.
I'm giving my point to Kane. If you look at, well, first off, he gave us a three story arc. Where he was going with Superman. You know, he talked about inspiring the hope to Kara, and then having them team up to go against Brainiac. He had a good pitch, but Kane really knocked it down with, why are you using Darkseid in a Man of Steel standalone when it should be your Thanos? It should be your Justice League villain for Justice League 3. And that argument right there is what's swinging me over to Kane's side.
All right, and Tim.
A few points I do want to bring out real quick, which I think would have really helped Ryan more if he would have hit the Injustice 2 copy and paste storyline that Kane used to try to defer so Ryan couldn't use it. I think Ryan really would have given him that Superman punch of just knocking him into the sun. But I'm looking at this like what we've seen so far and what makes sense for how the world's DC has done this. Cain has brought up very many good points of a more hopeful Superman that, yeah, they should have started off with this in the beginning. Granted, we already got most of the story with Injustice 2, and we've seen Superman and Supergirl team up in Supergirl on the CW, which it's funny a TV universe can get it better than the movies. But with going in the line that we're going into, I can see Warner Brothers doing that with bringing Darkseid and making it more of a Superman.
Okay, he never used that argument, so you can't bring up your own argument. Just want to point that out.
Okay, and that's fine. And I can say this, of being a Superman 2 movie, it's more of a Superman movie instead of Superman and other character, which more of his is more just Superman. Granted, I don't agree with bringing in Darkseid, but that's my own personal feeling. But it's more of a Superman-centered movie instead of Superman and Kara working together. It's more of a Superman movie. Granted, I think both of your directors would probably do horrible in this situation. But I would lean more towards Brian with the point of going more towards a Superman-centered 2. And I wish there was more points he would have brought up to really expand it, like Cain basically planning out like 3 different movies in a continuing arc, which I did like that with Cain. And I really wish Ryan would have brought that out more too, of bringing in Darkseid and then maybe expanding on the aftermath later on. But really, of just a Superman-centered movie, I do like that more for Superman 2. So I would go with Ryan.
All right, so with that, Ryan is on the board. He got the point for round 3.
That's stupid.
Going into the speed round, Cain is up 2-1. And now the speed round works like this. You're going to get 20 seconds for your main argument. Whoever says the answer first will be getting whichever they picked first. The person who says their answer second will also get 20 seconds. After that time, you'll each get 15 seconds to rebut the argument, a 15-second rebuttal to each other's argument. Basically, that's how speed round works. Any questions about it going into this?
How is Brad Bird not a good choice?
All right.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it off air. We'll talk about it off air. Your first speed round question, gentlemen, is: what is the best Power Rangers series?
Are you fucking serious? I've never seen Power Rangers.
What did you say, Ryan?
Cain said he's never seen one, so I don't know if we can go. I said Time Force.
Okay.
But
well, that's the had written for
fine.
This
give him the fucking point. I don't give a fuck. Or I'll use my time to complain about how Brad Bird's a really good choice to direct Man of Steel too.
Okay, so Cain's conceding the point on this one then.
Yeah,
because that's a fucking bullshit question.
All right.
If Jim were here, it'd be a different story.
All right, best MC villain.
Thanos.
Tim, did you hear him?
Best MCU villain.
I said 3 times.
Ryan already said Thanos, so fuck. I'll go Killmonger.
All right, Thanos versus Killmonger. All right. Ryan, you did say your answer first, so you'll get 20 seconds once you start talking.
All right. Avengers Infinity War is one of the best comic films ever made, and one of those reasons, if not the biggest reason it is because the villain was so compelling and very mesmerizing, and that's Thanos, played by Josh Brolin. If it weren't for Thanos, Infinity War wouldn't be anywhere near as good as it is because of his performance and the way he carried that film. It's really a Thanos movie. The Avengers just happen to be in it.
Time.
All right. Seconds, but okay.
All right. Cain, and now you're going to get 20 seconds to go off.
Killmonger is a character who essentially gets screwed over. He's put in a place where he shouldn't have been. It brings a lot of today topics into a Marvel movie, and bringing in the fact that his father was killed, so by therefore he shouldn't be able to be king And then he gets all mad about that, and he goes off and tries to, become king. And he actually
Time.
does become king. Oh, so I have to deal 20 seconds. Okay.
That's 20 seconds. You got 20
Ryan
seconds.
had like 30 fucking seconds, but okay.
No, he had 19. Actually, he didn't use his full 20. He didn't use his full 20.
Oh, children
all right.
complaining.
15 seconds, Ryan, when you're ready.
Oh, to rebuttal, you mean?
Yep, to rebuttal. 15 seconds.
Okay. All right. So, all right, yeah. Killmonger, yeah, he may have been good, but he wasn't in the movie for very long. Thanos, you followed him from A to Z with where he was going with each and every objective that he had in that movie. You had a complete villain, in a way, story arc for the first half of 2 films.
All right. And Cain, 15 seconds.
So Thanos, we see him in 4 movies prior to Infinity War, and all he does is sit in a chair. He doesn't do anything. So in those first 4 movies, he's one of the worst villains in the MCU. Killmonger goes off and kills T'Challa in the first time they fight. So therefore, he's shown that he's a more powerful villain, becomes king, destroys Wakanda, and tries to make America.
All right.
He didn't kill him, by the way. He just injured him.
Well, you didn't say that, so we can't use that argument.
Actually, I want to give a fact check. He died, and the herb is the one that brought him back to life, but okay.
All right. I'm giving my point to Cain. Cain gave me more reasons why Killmonger is a better villain, more layered, and actually attacked Thanos by saying all he does for 4 movies is sit in the chair before we actually see him do anything. So I'm going to give my point to Cain. Tim?
I would go with Cain, too, because of the fact that he explained his character. All Ryan said was just, he's a character. He didn't go with the reasons behind it. He didn't go with his love of his daughter, his history, his motives, his reason to do this. Cain gave us the reasons with Killmonger, with seeing his father die, going to try and remake Wakanda for what he thought was better, going for character reasons, and Ryan did not give us too many, if any, and it would have been a better argument out of him if he would have, but I would go with Cain for the point.
All right, and Hunter, you didn't get to vote, but where would you have gone?
He would have said Cain.
Cain also.
Yeah, of course. Of course you would.
All right, your next question, guys. It's now 3-2 going to the next question, which is, what is the best animated DC TV show?
Young Justice.
Shit. Animated DC. Jesus. Yeah, let's go with Captain Obvious, Batman the Animated Series.
All right. Young Justice versus Batman the Animated Series. Cain, you answered first. You get 20 seconds when you're ready.
Young Justice is a kid show taken with very serious topics. If you actually go on IMDb, it's rated as one of the best TV shows in history. It is not only one of the best TV animated shows, it's just one of the best shows in general. It deals with serious topics, like with Arsenal having fucking being a clone, losing an arm, having a kid. Where do you see that in DC, like the animated series?
All right. Ryan, your 20 seconds when you're ready.
Okay. For Batman the Animated Series, no other DC animated series has been talked about, worshipped, or been rated #1 on all the critics' lists of favorite animated superhero shows than Batman the Animated Series. Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, the best version of Batman, the best version of the Joker we've ever seen in an animated series. No one would have thought that when the show may have first started, but now it's iconic.
All right. Cain, 15-second rebuttal when you're ready.
You said the Batman the Animated Series is one of the best shows, like every critics-wise. Then why is Young Justice rated higher on IMDb for best TV shows of history? In Young Justice, we get to see Wally West die in one of the most impactful scenes at the season 2 finale of Young Justice, and it was almost it brought a tear to my eye.
All right. Ryan, when you're ready. 15 seconds.
Yeah, you talk about IMDb, but look at all the critical lists of what their favorite animated TV series is. It's always going to be Batman the Animated Series because the animation, the direction, the voice cast, the storytelling, way more compelling than anything Young Justice could ever do. Is it going to be remembered in 30 years? No, Batman the Animated Series is going to be remembered 30 years later.
All right. Hunter, what are your thoughts on this one?
Leaning towards Ryan, only because he brought up the voice cast, he brought up the storytelling, he brought up stuff like that. And also the line at the end about will it be remembered later on. It's up in the air, but we know Batman the Animated Series will continue. So I'm giving my point to Ryan.
Says the man who wears a Batman shirt
All right,
proudly.
Tim, where are you going?
Just repeat for me the question of that speed round. Just do that for me before I go into it.
Best animated DC TV show.
Okay. Ryan did pick a very iconic with Batman the Animated Series. Good animation, good voice acting for that iteration, that generation. And I was a young kid when that came out, so I remember that very distinctly. With Cain's pick, I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it yet. But Cain bringing up those points of what they're doing, technically with a kid's show, which is pretty groundbreaking, which I didn't really see Batman the Animated Series do. And with Young Justice, for the sounds of it to really go into a more mature of a way for a kid's story with these characters and villains, like you said, I would have to lean towards more with Cain for it, because that is a very interesting step to do with kid shows, because both of them are kid shows, those both animated shows. And it's a very interesting step, which you didn't see with Batman the Animated Series. It was always more just a Batman and Bruce Wayne story. But you didn't see too much of those topics and points, so I would have to go Cain.
Okay. This is difficult. Cain was winning the argument for almost the entire thing for me, and at the very end, I think Ryan landed a haymaker with the remembered line, and he also brought up the direction, the animation, the storytelling, and voice cast. Cain didn't really give me any voice cast. He did give me examples where the storytelling got mature and brought up the IMDb list, but Ryan brought up look at all critical lists, and they trump IMDb. So he also gave me more about the animation, which was the question: best animated show and direction cast. I'm going to give my point to Ryan because of the remembering line and the arguments at the end. So that makes it 3-3 going into the next speed round question.
Absolutely loves Young Justice, by the way.
I should have brought up the point of how
It's
so
a good show
that they're bringing back season 3 because people.
You should have.
Yeah,
but it took him like 20 years to bring back season 3.
For you.
All right. The next speed round question, guys, is who should be the villain of the Batman?
Hush.
Okay. And Cain, what do you got?
I'm thinking it's a big topic to think of right away.
It is. There's a lot of villains too.
I would like to see the character of Red Hood.
All right. Hush versus Red Hood. This is going to be a fight. All right, Ryan, you're up first. 20 seconds as soon as you start talking.
When you want to talk about great, incredible, compelling Batman stories, Batman Hush is one of the most iconic Batman graphic novels ever written. The team who wrote it, the artistry, the story about how just an ordinary guy who used to be friends with Bruce Wayne becomes his worst enemy and doesn't have any like special powers like some or a few of Batman's villains has.
Time.
Hush does it better.
All right. And Cain, 20 seconds when you start talking.
So in Worlds of DC, the Robins already exist. Jason Todd has already died as the fact that you could see his costume in there. So we get to see the return of Jason Todd as a villain, as the Red Hood, pretty much saying how Bruce has failed him because he wouldn't kill the Joker, having a very emotional beat. And throughout the whole film, Red Hood just trying to take out people. We get to see the introduction of Nightwing possibly, but Red Hood would be a fantastic.
All right. Ryan, you're going to get a 15-second rebuttal as soon as you start talking.
Okay. With Red Hood, it's a member of the Bat family. We're sick and tired of the Bat family. You need to do something big. You need to do something huge. Why not take just an ordinary man who used to be friends with Bruce Wayne, has no special powers, and is manipulating every single villain in Gotham to his advantage to take on and take down Batman
Time.
/ Bruce Wayne. Hush did it.
All right. And Kane, 15 seconds when you're ready.
You want to talk about someone who can manipulate villains? Have you watched Batman Under the Red Hood? Red Hood manipulated Black Mask, took over his whole thing. And we want to say that we've already seen the Bat Family. When have we ever seen Jason Todd in a live-action form? When have we ever seen Nightwing in a live-action form? When have we ever seen Barbara Gordon outside of that stupid little movie?
All right. I'm going to go first on this one and say that I'm giving my point to Kane. King brought more points and a lot more energy to this one. He rebutted the Bat Family point, which I think was Ryan's biggest argument. And Kane also rebutted the manipulative part by saying my villain is even more manipulative because of the emotional connection to Batman. So I'm going to have to give my point to Kane. Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, both of them really, really fired away with both of them. I think what really hurt Ryan the most was a supervillain without a person without superpowers. Both of them don't have superpowers. They're just regular people. Red Hood, more of the training, but it would be more of an interesting twist to see of someone close to Batman going down that twisted path other than just some best friend. To see like a real, not only like son type figure, but like a brother in arms type figure would be more of that interest to really see for me.
All right. So with that, Kane gets the point. It's now 4-3. Hunter, very quickly, what would you have said?
I would have went with Kane also, and more of because the Batman's going to be in the world of DC, and I like how he connected it back to the worlds of DC with the Robin costume and all that we see in the background, and also just especially the end where he picked apart Ryan's rebuttals is what swayed me over.
All right. Our next question, guys. This is a must-win for Ryan to move on to put it into a sudden death scenario. But if Kane gets this, this is all over. Your final speed run question is, who is the best Pixar villain?
What? Oh, God.
Best villain in Pixar movies.
No.
Syndrome.
Kane's got Syndrome.
Oh, boy. Best Pixar villain? Oh, my God. Lots of Hugging Bear from TS3. Toy Story 3.
All right.
If that's how you say it.
Syndrome versus Lotso the Hugging Bear. Kane,
Yeah.
you got 20 seconds when you start talking.
Can I just hear like the actual question right again?
Yeah, it's who is the best Pixar villain?
So to make a really good villain, you need to have really good motives. Syndrome was Buddy. Buddy was Mr. Incredible's biggest fan. And to have your hero tell you, go home, Buddy, that he's pretty much a disgrace, he's not good. And to become Syndrome because of the fact that your hero, the guy you looked up to, did not really give a fuck about you, that causes really good villains. Lotso, who? From Toy Story 3?
Man, so many F-bombs. What is wrong with you? God.
All right.
Debate. I get it.
All right. Ryan, you got 20 seconds when you're ready.
Okay. Lotso Hugging Bear is your best friend in the beginning of this movie. All of a sudden, he turns the other cheek, flips everything on its head, and he turns out to be the most terrifying villain in Pixar history because he wants to take all of Andy's toys and destroy them and get rid of them so that he and his little goons could be the talk of the town and be the most popular toys at that daycare center. He even tries to throw them in a furnace and kill them.
All right. Kane, 15 seconds when you're ready for your rebuttal.
Okay, so in the world of the Toy Story world, if those characters die, they die. Who cares? It's toys. In the Incredibles world, Syndrome was trying to kill people. If he kills the Incredibles, that family is dead. He was trying to kill kids. Lotso wasn't trying to kill kids. He was trying to kill toys. They're toys.
All right. And Ryan, your 15-second argument rebuttal when you're ready.
Well, when it comes to Lotso Hugging Bear in that moment when the toys are about to die in that furnace, how many people came out of that theater crying during that moment? No one was crying during the Incredibles movies. When it comes to TS3, people were crying, they were smiling, they were happy. There were tons of emotions going through people's minds going through Toy Story 3. Whereas the Incredibles, yeah, they were smiling, they were happy, laugh, go lucky. No. TS3 had more emotion.
Time.
This is hard. I'm going to go to Hunter first on this one.
Choose wisely, Hunter.
Okay,
with
this
your
one
gut.
wasn't really that hard for me, but based on the arguments, I'm going to say Cain.
Oh, for God's sake.
Because Cain brought up the point of what makes a great villain. It's somebody who gets screwed over, and I like how he drove that point home. And then, again, rebutting Ryan was saying they're toys. You know, yes, it was emotional, but Syndrome was trying to kill kids and people, and, you know, just the fact that he pretty much got Ryan at those points is what sways me over to Cain.
All right, I'm going to go next and agree with you that Cain gets my point because of the mention of motives. The Syndrome has incredible motives and listed why he did what he did. Ryan basically brought up that it was a great twist and kept going back to the fire pit moment as emotional and terrifying, and saying that was the reason why Lotso was the best villain. But Cain gave me more, talking about how no one cares if those toys died. That people are going to die more, and that the motives. I think it was really the motives argument, so I'm going to give it to Cain. Tim, very quickly, what would you have said?
I would have gone with Cain for more of the fact of describing what would be the best villain. Now, with your and Hunter's point with the whole killing people and toys, separate things, really, if you break it down with the story of just killing in general, both of them had that motive. But what really I think won it for Cain for this point would be he put the more motives behind the villain. If Ryan would have done that with more behind the scenes of why he was the way he was to get to that into that nursery school, then it would have been a lot more evenly balanced. But Ryan didn't do that, so Cain would have.
All that, and with that, your winner, Cain McMillan. With a score of 5-3. This is easily the closest Nerdgasm we've had so far. This was very intense. A really solid fight between these two guys who both came prepared, both brought up very good points and very good arguments the entire time. It was not one-sided in any way. It kept going back and forth. We were tied at multiple points, which was never happened. We've never been tied in a Nerdgasm up to this point. So that was really awesome, really intense, probably going down for probably match of the year for Nerdgasm so far. What did you guys think, Hunter?
Oh, it was a great fight, back and forth. As you said, it was tied at one point. They each brought energy to this match, which I absolutely enjoyed. I love seeing people who are so hyped about what they love, and they fought it perfectly.
Absolutely. And Tim, what were your thoughts on this one?
It was a good fight. Both of them brought that energy, but I think what really helped Cain was more of the articulating argument skills to really knock back Ryan, because Ryan did come out swinging, but he didn't come out with a lot of those finer points like we saw with Cain. And I think that really balanced into a lot of the arguments. If it was more equally in that one, it could have literally gone down to the wire and probably in the sudden death and could have gone the other way. But overall, great match.
Absolutely agree. So with that, let's go over to our winner, Cain. How are you feeling about this debate here?
I mean, the score was 5-3, but I did concede one of the points because I've never seen Power Rangers in the history of life.
Yeah.
I do want to say I would like to thank Jack Ball Trivia for prepping me for all the arguing that I've had to do.
Buzzing!
Yeah.
And but yeah, this was fun. I had to go against Ryan. I had to be mean to Ryan, and I hate being mean to Ryan because Ryan is my friend, my partner,
Right.
And I'm kind of frustrated because the one I prepped for the most is one of the ones I actually lost with Steel 2. That makes me sad.
So I can tell you right now who you are going to be facing, because you're not done here. I can tell you right now who you're facing next, and it's me. You're playing me next in Nerdgasm.
That should
Gee.
be
You're just going up against all your allies and partners in this thing.
Oh, I can let out some pent up aggression.
Right. I know who I want to win this fight.
Oh, I can't wait to host this or co-host
All right.
this one.
Dude, I'm going to co-host right there with you.
This is gonna be very, very, very fun. I cannot wait to fight you. You're very good.
I can't wait for you to ask what the best Harry Potter film is because you've only seen one.
We've already used that one, so we can't.
Oh,
But
you got lucky.
this is going to be really fun. Debating Cain is going to be actually really fun because the winner of this will now be 2-0, and will be put into a #1 contenders match for the Nerdgasm title. So basically, me versus you as a quarterfinal for a tournament that isn't really a tournament, but you know what I mean. Ryan, how do you feel about the debate that just happened?
It's unfortunate that I got a point by default because Cain never heard of the words Power and Rangers in the same sentence before, let alone the series that's been iconic for 25 freaking years. But
when I was growing up, I thought it was lame.
Boy, we're gonna have to have a nice father-son chat after this match.
You're not my dad.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna school you on Power Rangers in a minute here. But anyway, aside from
Dinosaur, Tootsie Roll, all those good words.
All those good seasons. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point is, this was fun. Clearly, Cain has been prepping for this match for like 12 years, whereas I only prepped for like 45 minutes today on my computer.
I actually prepped 20 minutes before the match.
No, that's a lie. You've been playing this for like 12 hours, man. You've been killing this. So don't be modest. So yeah, but no, this was a good match. It was fun. It's unfortunate I had to go up against my partner, but as soon as he picked the movie in the first question, I pretty much knew my goose was kind of toast because Batman Begins is really good, but Avengers, I mean, but no, thanks for having me. This was fun, and yeah, this is like I said, I'm not used to doing this. I haven't done this before, so this was a good opportunity to get my feet wet. This
has been Nerdgasm, ladies and gentlemen. Two really great competitors. We know that Cain and I are going to be the next ones to face each other. Ryan playing the loser of Cody Newberry and Jake Marangoni, which is going to be real fun. But I'm going to throw it over to some quick plugs before we get this show right out of here. So, Cain, where can they find you?
You can find me going on Twitter trying to get Brad Bird to become the next director of Man of Steel 2, because if you guys do not believe that Brad Bird would be a really cool choice to direct Man of Steel 2, you're crazy, or maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. I still think I should have won that debate. I actually put in, like, out of the 20 minutes I prepped, I put a good 19 minutes into that.
All right. And
you can also find us right here at Multiplex Entertainment, where we are posting new shirts. By the time this match goes up, there should be the Hobbit shirt, Alex the Omega Wolverine shirt.
Ooh, interesting.
Couple shirts in the works. By then you could buy the Arrowverse shirt, hopefully. Maybe I have that edited finally by then. And some other just random shirts that you will see on TeePublic. And you can also find us right here at Multiplex hosting many of matches that Caleb will say in about like 30 seconds.
You're right. And Ryan, where can they find you?
All right. Well, unlike you guys who like to do 30 minutes worth of plugs, I'm very succinct and to the point. So I'll put it to you like this, son. You can find me on Facebook at Ryan Permison, RyanPermison. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Make sure to check us out on Nerd Culture at Nerd Culture on YouTube and on Twitter and Instagram at It's Nerd Culture. We talk about movie reviews, TV reviews, comic books, video games, anything nerdy we talk about. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. We got some new videos coming your way very soon. We'll see you next time.
All right, and my judge, Hunter, where can they find you?
You guys can find me over at Take 3 doing a lot of reactions and rank them with Malcolm. You guys can find me on my YouTube channel at Film Nerd TV, where I am doing a Conjuring spoiler marathon over there. So check out my Annabelle review coming up here soon. Oh, God, this should be good. And just like, share, and subscribe over there. Thanks, guys.
And don't forget his Patreon.
Yeah, don't
feed my Patreon. I have to eat.
Feed our starving Hunter.
Yes.
And we'll go over to Tim. What can
hold on, it's a long list here.
Check.
Let's see. Yeah. You can find me here at Multiplex, keeping these schmucks in line all the time. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, Multiplex Entertainment. You can find us on Twitter, Multiplex YT. You can find us on Instagram, Multiplex Entertainment Network. Go to the TeePublic store with all the great shirts. Support your favorite players. Get some demand in there for some new shirts of some up-and-coming players that you want to root and shout for. Of course, go in there and, of course, buy the Titan shirt to support our good friend, Chance the Titan.
Not
Ellison.
The Titan.
The Titan Ellison.
Formerly
Fuck
known
off. The Titan Ellison for his Anarchy debut when he carries Mike Kalinowski to a championship. And, of course,
Hot takes.
all these great shows on Multiplex with Warzone, Fandom, TV, Sports Battlefield, of course, the great non-trivia shows with Nerdgasm, with all the debates, the sports draft we're going to do with Caleb and myself.
Which is probably already out.
No,
Yes.
yeah, it is. It happened on Wednesday.
Yes, so go see all that good stuff. Go see Around the League. A lot of great shows in the works with our new head of non-trivia show development.
That has not been announced.
Okay, we'll cut that part.
December.
I'll cut that.
Good part. So go see all these great non-trivia shows, all the great trivia shows, all the content from Multiplex Entertainment. Go see Take 3, Worldwide Movie Games, all that great stuff too.
All right, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Caleb Coho. That is KalebKoho. You can also find me on YouTube, Caleb Coho, where I do music vlogs, all sorts of fun stuff like that. Coho Productions, which is predominantly my film channel, where I edit fan trailers and all sorts of fun stuff like that. You can also find my album Shoot for Teams with my group The Forks on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you consume your digital music. And you can find me right here on Multiplex Entertainment as one of the heads of Fandom Fights, the head of story for all the different divisions.
Your movie.
Yeah, my movie Chick Part 2 is on YouTube right now on Caleb Coho and Coho Productions right now. So go ahead and watch that. It's pretty funny. It's experimental. It's fun. But you can also find me here on Multiplex, running Fandom Fights, head of story, running or hosting Fandom Fights Fandom Fights every Friday. Nerdgasm every Saturday, every Wednesday, Fantasy Football with TM Smith every Wednesday. You can check that out. You can also check out all the different shows around here. I'm on all of these. At the end of September, Let's Make a Movie is back, debuting our short films at the end of the month with Cain and Jake. And we'll be doing our next episode at the end of September, beginning of October-ish. It's going to be real fun. But yeah, guys, that's all from us. That has been Cain, Ryan, Hunter, Tim. I have been Caleb, and this has been Nerdgasm, and we'll see you all next week.